Hi everyone. This reading's in honor of Sri Karmayogi and what was the 95th anniversary of his birth on December 27th of this past year. I'll be reading from my friend and spiritual mentor Roy Posner's thoughts on Sri Karmayogi. And Sri Karmayogi's teachings continue to influence not only Roy and thousands and countless thousands of others, but also through Roy continue to influence my own spiritual growth. And if you've seen any of these other videos on my channel regarding the work of Karmayogi, Sri Aurobindo, and the Mother, you know that I have been enriched continually by Roy's vast spiritual knowledge, and he's been sharing this with me for, I think, maybe 15 years now. I've also placed a link to Roy's website in the description below this video, so I'm so grateful to Roy for allowing me to share his thoughts with you. So let's begin. Karmayogi, supramental avatar of knowledge. A genius is one who brings out ultimate knowledge in a field in his time, more often than not emanating from experiences of spiritual mind, that is, through silence, vision, intuition, etc. A genius also normally applies himself to a particular field, like Einstein to physics and Ramanujan to mathematics. It is, however, rare to apply one's genius to multiple fields simultaneously. And yet Karmayogi has done just that. Through his genius-based efforts, he has brought out infinite-like wisdom from many fields of life simultaneously, including the domains of social development, education, history, literature, economics, spiritual growth, human evolution and transformation, and the nature of creation and reality. And he has gotten to the essence and core of each of these fields in vast detail through many thousands of unprecedented, groundbreaking insights, a feat unknown in the world till now. Moreover, he has interconnected these thoughts in unimagined ways, creating in essence an integral wisdom across all fields of life. Over the years, I have thus referred to him as a multi-dimensional spiritual genius. I am even tempted to say he has attained supramental genius in the plane of knowledge, and that is, become an avatar-like personality for our time and all time, one whose wisdom can move the world forward toward its infinite possibilities in this accelerating mental age. Question from a reader. I love this post, sir. You have put in words what I feel in my heart. Appa has also helped the growth of so many individuals so that we may become like him. Appa's writings are a revolution for the Indian. If we follow it truly, very soon India will be at the top, leading the world. In response, thank you for that very true insight about India's potential great advantage through Appa. Perhaps we can say that knowledge is fully supramentalized when each of the things Appa wishes to happen, as expressed in the thoughts, does so. Karmayogi's spiritual contributions to the world. Karmayogi has revealed to us most of the subtle laws of life, the workings of supermind, and has himself practiced integral yoga and transformation to a large degree. It is almost unfathomable how far he has gone in his experiences and writings. He has, in essence, surrendered to the Force, to the Mother at every detail level of life, and has documented his findings of the many facets and workings of individual, societal, and cosmic existence. His writings are hundreds of years ahead of our times in the many fields of life he has addressed, and yet it has all been documented and offered to the world for humanity's future reference. His vast knowledge comes not only through his opening to the Mother, to that supramental knowledge and power, but also from his deep studies of Sri Aurobindo's The Life Divine, which is the Bible of spiritual insight and pathways to our future human existence. He has taken the Master's radical departure from the spiritual tradition and explained it with fresh eyes for the modern world. My Unconventional Relationship with Karmayogi by Roy Posner. I have often asked myself this question, or rather posed it for the world. How can I have had a 45-year connection with Sri Karmayogi and yet never met him once, never saw him once, never even heard his voice once in all those 45 years till this day? How is that possible? And yet, that was my connection, association, relationship with him. Moreover, how many individuals over the years asked me how my experiences in India have been, and I then tell them that I have never been to India. I, who have written countless books and short essays on life response, life divine, etc., all based on Appa's teachings, all originating in profound Indian thought, but now taken to a higher level. And yet I did not outwardly, materially connect one time to this monumental source individual, Appa, and his nation, India, that was the essence behind my works. Going back to the beginning, from the very first day I met Gary Jacobs in California, I learned about Karmayogi, then known to us as Natarajan. Then 45 years go by, and I still hear Gary's words echoing in my mind of Appa imploring us to remember Mother before undertaking any activity, in my case working in sales and development for Gary and Leslie's company, Mirra in the latter part of the 1970s. Even at this moment, I hear echoing down the years the same voice imploring me to remember her before proceeding with the act. I always understood it was Appa's influence speaking through Gary. Then one day, things changed. In 1996, Gary and Bob taught me everything they could reasonably teach of Appa's ideas on my weekend visits in Napa, California, at their home, a relatively short distance from where I lived. As a result of these blessed experiences, I embarked on creating the website Growth Online. It is mentioned in Appa's Spiritual Opulence, which reached its peak in 2015 with 5,000 daily visitors. Thereafter, I began a steady dialogue with Appa via email hosted by friend Leslie Jacobs, in which we discussed many things, focusing especially on one of his very first drafts of commentary on Pride and Prejudice. It was at that point that I saw life response phenomena in so many aspects of that life, in the story as well as in my own life. I then messaged Appa that I would soon begin writing my book, The Miraculous Phenomenon of Life Response. He gave me his blessing on the project, but implored me to begin by first gathering 100 true life incidents of the phenomenon. As I had planned a vacation road trip with Sue around the Intermountain west of the United States, it seemed like a perfect venue to start collecting my stories. Even after the first day of the trip, I realized that I had already evoked several responses. I wrote them down on a large yellow pad, and so began my career as a life response chronicler and scribe. As Growth Online would flourish to a large degree, life response phenomenon was not only the heart of it, but it increasingly took over my creative life, and consecration, that is, opening to Mother and her spiritual force, would turn out to be the very special sauce that had the most power of evocation, which I gently presented to the audience. A small aside. One day I mentioned to Appa, via email of course, that I seemed to be so alone compared to all other devotees in India and elsewhere, let alone having a dearth of friends here in the States, even in my local community of Northern California. He told me that rather than a burden, it was a blessed state to be in, quoting from Sri Aurobindo to that effect. That is, a solitary-like life was blissful, enabling you to become fully your own psychological and spiritual person. I began to appreciate that quality as I continued to train and interact with thousands of students in the software field throughout the San Francisco Bay Area, including Silicon Valley, which indeed became endless food for thought for life response experiences and insights. To return again to the theme of non-connection connection mentioned at the outset, in 2014 I was set to go to India for a business management conference with S.S. Sridhar, where I would make a presentation, meet with Appa, I presume in Pondi, perhaps go to Aurobindo, travel around Kerala, etc. It would be my first trip to India, actually the first trip out of the USA in 45 years. But it was not to be when it was discovered that they had processed my name on my visa as Posner Roy instead of Roy Posner, which seemed suspicious to them, and as a result I never completed my papers in time for the trip. As we know, there are many in India named Roy, which only added to the irony of my living solely in the States, communing with India and Appa only inwardly. Yet, despite the disappointment of that non-trip, it in one sense did not really matter that much to me in terms of seeing Appa physically, because he was always there inside my mind and spirit, that is, in consciousness. He was always somehow guiding me toward Mother, whether it related to the principles of life or health matters or any other significant matter. Over time, I continually had new insights while picking up, adding to, writing up Appa's thoughts in simple, easy to understand essays with life response, the miraculous response of life, always at the center. And yet, in another strange way, in recent years I had a proxy to seeing Appa live, as Sento Murugan visited there frequently, having darshan with Appa, etc. He would narrate his experiences to me, and I felt I was there. Of course, I wasn't really there, because that would have broken the chain. So I have practiced a solitary yoga, yet with deep connection to Appa. Even the email connection ceased, except on very rare occasions when I had a serious issue. Is it strange to say that now that he is not at the material plane, I have the same relationship as I had earlier when he was at the material plane? That is, not visit him, see him, speak to him, and now almost not emailing to him. This has been a most unusual and yet wholly magical experience, in fact, the guiding light of my life. To end with these additional thoughts. In my mind, Appa is the greatest creative thinker of all time, a multidimensional spiritual genius, an original thinker in the extreme, abridging many fields of life from education to governance to spirituality, and many others between, forging them into one integral reality. And to think I and others had the great fortune to interrelate with this extraordinary spiritual individual, this great personality and yogi of our time. He was the evoker of hundreds, if not thousands, of positive responses from life, at all planes, from the individual to universal. He was thereby an ultimate creator, Ishwara, in life. He constantly demonstrated tireless patience, compassion, affection, joy, and love. He alone engaged in the suprahuman integral yoga by surrendering to Mother, trying to transform himself at all planes, while creating vast openings for progress and transformation in the world. Again, thank you, Roy Posner, for allowing me to share your thoughts with this audience. And to those listening, I thank you for sharing your time with us. Have a wonderful day.